In the world of collecting Blu-ray movies, we encounter different types of covers. Something simple from just reusing poster art from the theatrical release, while not terrible, is still serviceable and represents the movie. And then there are covers that are beautiful works of art that provide brand new artwork that even exceed the quality of the product within, and these covers are amazing. However, there is a curse upon this hobby. For every good cover we get, there are bad ones, and some that are truly terrifying.
Get ready.
Happy Halloween, everybody. On today's video, we are discussing the truly terrifying topic of the 9 curses of the bad Blu-ray box art. For I have reached far and wide throughout my own collection, as well as asked my Discord community what their thoughts were. We have many, many examples to go over. This is not going to be every example of this horrible curse that has befallen movie collectors, but we will be getting quite close to it, because there are some truly heinous examples. One last look at good covers, everybody. It's all terrible from here on out. If you enjoy this type of video, hit the like button for a happy Halloween, hit subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss out on future Blu-ray videos. Let's begin the 9 curses of the bad Blu-ray covers. Our first curse is an uncommon tale, but one that still bothers me from time to time. For example, the cover to Armored Trooper Votom's Complete Collection from Made in Japan, a sub-label of Sentai Filmworks, seems fine on the surface. It's got a, it's got a robot and it's a mecha anime series, so that seems like everything would be fine, until you've seen the series and realize that that is not Kiriko Kuvei's Armored Trooper. It's not his scope dog, it's another one. It may be from a later series, but if I was picking a scope dog to cover Votom's, I would pick Kiriko's Scope Dog. It's iconic, it is unique, and it should be on the cover. Instead, it's whichever one this is, because honestly, I don't even remember. The set within is totally fine, but every time I look at the cover, I have to wonder, did no one actually watch the show before deciding what was going to be on the cover art? Because that just seems like a misinformed graphic. Honestly, this happens more often than you'd think, and yet I could not find any other examples for this video because I think I've purged all the ones from my collection that would have otherwise been so misinformed. Those who love consistency on their shelves should look away for this next curse, because this is one that hurts personally. The Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up, seems to have a pretty standard cover. It's using one of the posters from the film. What might be so wrong about this Blu-ray cover? Well, how about we look at the spine? In the immortal words of the previous time I talked about this, what the hell is this? Tiny, tiny logo you can barely see, small image, absolutely nothing down the middle, and a tiny Blu-ray logo on this side, and then absolutely nothing on the other side. Ketchup Entertainment, we appreciate the fact that you saved this movie from tax write-off hell. However, what the hell is this spine? There's a whole video to be made on spines on Blu-rays, but in this case, I thought this one was the most horrifying example in honor of the holiday. Our next curse has befallen one of my favorite films, Death Becomes Her, an iconic comedy with Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis about 2 women who take an immortality potion, not realizing that it also means their bodies can still take damage. It is a brilliant, dark comedy with a lot of practical humor, practical effects, and great comedic moments, as well as a lot of satire sprinkled within. It is terrific. I am so glad Shout Factory released it on 4K. You're probably wondering, what is the curse that befell this one? Well, the cover art is the main poster where it crops out the main cast and just focuses on, I believe, what's supposed to be Isabella Rossellini's character, and that kind of doesn't work for me, because if you didn't know the movie, you kind of don't know the movie. If you look around to the back, there's our main cast there, and, the actual release itself is terrific. However, the previous Shout Factory release had a much better cover option, because this really portrays what kind of movie this is. It is very, very weird, and I appreciate it. Also, if you're a fan of Sabrina Carpenter's Taste music video, look at the direct inspiration. So if this is a movie, and I think this is a much more striking cover. Now, on this Shout Blu-ray that we had prior, the cover was reversible. You had this cover as an option, and then you had the original poster art cropped down as the other, which is similar to the 4K cover. And so upon receiving the 4K, I hoped, oh, maybe the curse isn't real. Maybe we don't have to worry about having a better cover on a prior release. However, on the reverse side was absolutely nothing. So unfortunately, we have now gotten the worst cover out of the two on the better release. That being said, they put that same cover from the first Blu-ray on the spine. So it's not a total loss, but it is a bummer. And this has happened many, many times in the past, where you just wish the previous cover was reused because it honestly struck the right chords. This next curse will hurt for anyone that's worked in graphic design and feels like they could have done a better job. The Photoshop collage. Let's give some examples. Apollo 13. Seemingly not too bad off. It's got kind of the main vibe, the main stars. Everybody has lost all detail in their faces. They've been unrealistically smoothed over by some kind of weird Photoshop filtering going on. Yeah, in this case, I would have just used the poster. I don't know if we needed to make a brand new cover for this one if everybody's going to look weird and waxy. This isn't Mystery of the Wax Museum. This is Apollo 13. Next one is not terrible, but also unnecessary. It's the Blues Brothers, because essentially what we've got here is a existing image of the Blues Brothers themselves, of Jake and Elwood, and then a collage of a poster promoting them performing behind them. What was the problem with the previously existing covers? What was the problem with just using the poster art for the film? I have no idea, because now we have weird Photoshop outlining because technology is being used on an image that was of a much lower resolution. And this even continues to the back with the same exact design. Why did they do this? I have no idea. On first glance, the Knight Rider 4K set has nothing wrong with its cover. It seems like it's a picture of Kit with Michael Knight in the driver's seat. Well, what the heck is going on here with this very odd image? It does not seem that the image of David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight is the same image of him in Kit. These seem like two images spliced together on an infinite highway to heaven, in which they seem to be going straight to hell. This cover does not really give the right vibe for the series. Luckily, the inner cases kind of go back to the style that the DVD set portrayed, and honestly, one of these would have been better for the main cover, because this, the longer you look at it, the worse it gets. How about the infamous Avengers Endgame Steelbook? Which, holy cow, I don't even know where to begin. First of all, design-wise, it's not terrible. Having the Avengers logo there, having the surviving characters from Infinity War there, and the fallen characters on the back with the broken logo. In theory, totally fine. Let's take a look at the fact that all of these images are from different movies and actually aren't created for this release. So first of all, we have this very awkward-looking Tony Stark Iron Man mashup, because this Iron Man is from a different image than that Tony Stark head. We have Infinity War Thor here, which is not too bad of a choice. Same with Captain America, except, you know, this is definitely how Cap looked in Endgame. This is definitely not how Thor looked in Endgame. Captain Marvel here doesn't have the same shadow as everyone around her, so she stands out super well, and she's using a render from the Captain Marvel movie, not the Avengers Endgame movie. Scarlet Johansson, and Hawkeye here have the Avengers Endgame's looks. Then you have Okoye from Black Panther, who's facing away from the camera for some reason. And why is Paul Rudd 90% in shadow? I have no idea. How about the Hulkbuster armor? That's not actually in this movie. That's only in Infinity War. Why is it on the cover here? And then if you're going for Infinity War stuff, technically that's your Bruce Banner rep, but why is it just the A-posed model? Same with War Machine here. Why is it an A-posed model with the Photoshop John Cheadle head? Why is Nebula covered in shadow to the point where you can't even tell it's Nebula? Or is that just hiding the fact that's a Nebula from the first Guardians movie? And why is Rocket concept art? Let's go to the back. Here we have a very quick disappearing Mantis, Loki using a Ragnarok render, Gamora using a Guardians 2 render, Star-Lord is using an Infinity War render, Scarlet Witch is for some reason in black and white. Funny story, considering nobody else is in black and white, because they could have done that to be like, oh, it's all the ones that went, but WandaVision setup? I don't know. Vision here looks awkward. Doctor Strange is missing an object he was once holding. Spider-Man isn't even in the right costume. I don't know why Bucky is all the way back there, hiding. Drax is really actually doing a convincing invisibility thing. For some reason, Falcon is completely missing. Black Panther, once again, is a actor head photoshopped on a suited body. And Teen Groot, I have no complaints with that one. What a very odd cover for a very celebrated and well-loved movie. I have more examples that are worse than this. This is not one of them, but I have to point out something. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, its standard 4K cover, excellent. You got the cool reflection in the eyes of the main characters in the movies, and then you have a lot of these Spider Society extra characters. Now, here's what I'm going to talk about as the actual bad Photoshop collage. The Steelbook release for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Well, let's see, where do we begin? First of all, that is not the design for Spider-Man India. For some reason, Spider-Man Unlimited is on the cover despite having like 2 seconds of screen time. The Spider-Woman is just a screenshot from the movie cut out. Spider-Punk is not the movie Spider-Punk, but in fact the Insomniac video game Spider-Punk. The Scarlet Spider is not the Scarlet Spider from the movie, but in fact the Insomniac video game's Hot Toys figure release Spider-Man. And they have the Insomniac Spider-Man from the cover art behind him. And original design Spider-Man India is here for seemingly no reason. It's a voice from beyond the editing booth. Actually, while I was editing, I noticed that this Spider-Man India render is actually the Peter B. Parker render from the cover of Into the Spider-Verse, edited to look like India. And the one I pointed out as Spider-Man India's original design is supposed to be Peter B. Parker in the sweatpants, even though they just painted pants on a existing thing, and it's not gray sweatpants, so it's not even accurate to that, and that's also not even from this movie. Somehow the cover got worse the more we did this. Back to the video as it was. Where, I don't even, how does that happen? How does that even happen? That's not only bad Photoshop collage, that is also the curse of the misinformed graphic. That's a 2-for-1 right there. But we still have more! The Wizard of Oz 4K, a really great disc. What is this cover? Dorothy and friends hanging out, chilling, having a good time. Does nobody notice the tornado coming right in? Like, ready to get you? And why is the Wicked Witch on the tornado side and not on the Oz side? The Wicked Witch wasn't in Kansas. That was just the other character played by Margaret Hamilton. She should be over here. And also, I really do love floating PNG Glinda up here because that's just amusing. I don't really understand why we needed to change the cover, because all the previous Wizard of Oz covers were pretty dang good. It's just very confusing and very concerning that they just are not noticing that tornado. It also kind of looks like a dimensional field wipe where like everything's turning to Kansas. And then we get to North by Northwest. This is a movie that is iconic for ultimately 3 things. Cary Grant being chased by a plane, and Mount Rushmore. So all those things are put in here with the Vertigo circle effect, even though this isn't Vertigo. Also, once again, you have a blurred screenshot being used as the Photoshop element because we don't have higher quality images from back then to use, apparently. Also adding to this isn't the first time because the Blu-ray's cover also sucked. This one at least is a little bit better because I think having the logo dramatically there as opposed to just kind of in the middle works. And again, no Vertigo circles. And, it kind of gives the vibe of Cary Grant playing Mount Rushmore. That's kind of how it goes. So I think this one's a little bit better, even though neither of them are great. This one's better. So there's also a curse of better previous art, even though previous art kind of sucked. Here's a question, though. Why not just use the original poster art? Wouldn't that work for a Blu-ray cover? Yeah, never mind. This one also kind of sucks. Like, this is just weird. Why is Alfred Hitchcock carrying a finger? Yeah, without Cary Grant facing forward. Yeah, okay, yeah. They're kind of stuck on this one. North by Northwest is just the cursed of them all. even before Photoshop existed. Astute viewers were probably wondering where the Sean Connery 4K Bond collection went, considering it is a Photoshop disaster in and of itself. But then, of course, I realized that Bond is just cursed in general. Let's discuss. See, when the Sean Connery 6-film collection was announced, people were wondering what will the cover look like. I don't think people expected a torn collage of the international posters of the movie. That being said, it does have a unique look to it, even if it's printed in 2 different color tones between one cover and the other. It does have a unique look, I can give it that. It's got kind of some style to it. That being said, I think a lot of people were kind of expecting a cover similar to the Daniel Craig collection and several other Bond collections over the years, which, yes, it is pretty much just Bond in front of the logo, but, consistency would have been nice. Now, that being said, not to let Daniel Craig off the hook here, there are some other covers that are Photoshop nightmares, like the No Time to Die Steelbook. I don't even know where to begin with this one. First of all, the 007 logo is spread across the back, but then there's nothing on the back. And then you have the car, and then you have all the bullets here, where everything's just like super close up, and then it just seems like very overproduced, which is not amazing. It is more interesting than the Spectre one, considering the Spectre one is just a bullet hole in the case. Actually, kind of neat, because you have the little like bullet hole here, and then you have the outro part on the back, but then they just reuse the same exact glass crack on both sides, but it's not mirrored. See, like this part, right? That part should be that part, but it's not. They didn't flip it. It was cool. You had a cool idea of like, it was like the steelbook got shot, but then the cracking doesn't match on both sides. So it kind of failed. Now, that being said, those aside, yeah, all right, we're talking box sets. That one's good. Back to this one. There was a worse way to get the Connery Bond films in terms of covers. As Harles on my Discord server pointed out, the 6-film collection is not amazing. However, look at the singles. Yes, I do like Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Dime Uns Are Forever. Yeah, I don't really understand what's going on here. You just could put the movie title smaller. They didn't have to take up the entire cover. Also, you could put another image on the cover besides just the name of the movie. You want to talk about cursed covers? This one seems normal compared to just the logos and no other imagery. Our next curse is one of the most horrifying, as it happens over and over and over and over again, and I just pulled a couple examples to save us the nightmares. It is the Photoshop filter. It is, let's take art that existed and filter it out to the point where it's almost unrecognizable. I'm sure the Addams would have loved this, though. This feels like up their vibe, to look like they're in the middle of a nuclear explosion. I really don't quite get this cover, because they took the poster art, took the characters, removed the background, and then made everything white, to the point where they just look terrifying. And like the Addams are very nice people. I don't think we should be looking them this terrible. Now, some don't seem much different, like Wednesday, and Fester seems a little overcast, but not too bad. What is going on with Grandmama here? What? That is a sleep paralysis demon. She deserves better than this. They all deserve better than this. You want to see what the back looks like? No, it's just the house. No filter on the house. I'll take it. The house looks normal. How about beloved film Grease? Don't you love how it looks like a rotoscoped ad from the 90s? There was nothing wrong with just using the image of Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, yet didn't need to filter them to make it look arty. If you're going to draw art. If you're going to just use an image, just use an image. This is Uncanny Valley. I don't really understand the intention here. Do appreciate just the chaos of that on the back, but this is the best you got for Grease? I mean, Grease is pretty iconic. I mean, this is the image to use. No shade on that, but why so filtered? Well, at some point we're going to talk about Star Trek. Okay, so for some reason, the TNG cover, even though it's much better than the previous solicited early one, also just looks very uncomfortable. there's just something about Picard's face that just don't look right. It is an image of Patrick Stewart with an artsy filter type thing put upon it. May have also been an artist drawing on top of it. Whatever it is a photo being turned into, what looks like hand-drawn art. However that was achieved. But it's just, I don't know if it's just pulling the flaws out of the faces that we're not used to seeing or something, but like, everybody looks very uncomfortable. Like, all three characters at the top look like, they all have disappointed dad energy. And then everyone down here at the bottom, like, Malcolm McDowell's character looks even, more pissed off. And then, like, everybody else just looks kind of, slightly bored. Now they don't really want to be here. Like, Tom Hardy's trying to escape this cover faster than he tried to escape that movie. This is very bizarre. And the thing is, we know they could do this exact style correctly because they did it with the TOS set. I mean, this one looks great. Like, everybody's got some life to it, some personality. Maybe it's the image choices. But I think what it is that everybody's still realistically colored here, whereas everybody here has, like, just bright pastels. Everything is looks like red, gold, and blue, like the three main colors of the uniforms. So everything is cast in that light, so it kind of has a bit more of an artistic flair to it, whereas this is keeping everything's colors as original, and everybody just looks really uncomfortable. They're like, why are you looking at me? Whereas everyone's like, look how cool we are. Isn't this fun? Same exact style, just complete misfire on this one. And honestly, the bad filters could continue for hundreds and hundreds of entries. These are cursed enough. I shall save you, my friends, from future curses. Unless we do a whole video on just filtered covers. I'm so sorry, Paddington Bear. I'm so sorry what they've done to you. My dear friend Paddington has been cursed multiple times. It's not just that his ownership rights in the US to his movie trilogy are at 3 different studios, and the first one of those was the Weinstein Company. It's the fact that the cover to Paddington 2 is just the cover to Paddington 1, but they changed the sandwich. They didn't even change the render of Paddington. They just changed the sandwich and zoomed it in. This is the curse of the reused art asset. There is dozens of more examples of this, but this one hurts the most. This one hurts the most because why would you do this to Paddington? This poor, innocent, sweet child of a bear deserves better than to have his second movie's cover just be the exact same cover as the first one, but with a 2 sandwich instead of a normal one. He didn't even get to eat this sandwich yet. At least he got a bite over here. Also, in general, this isn't a great cover either. It's pretty generic, but, like, my goodness, it's the same cover. Maybe Paddington in Peruse is better. Well, at least it's just the poster with a Rotten Tomato sticker on it. It's better, honestly. It's more action-y. It's more interesting. At least it wasn't this with a 3. This next one, apologies to the graphic designer on these sets. I know you had an uphill battle with the parent company of the shows you worked on, but I've really got to tear into this one. What is this bootleg vibe? So let's look at this. The Super Sentai series, which is the Japanese series that Power Rangers derived its fight scene footage from, was released on DVD by Shout Factory with the wonderful covers. Before Power Rangers, there was Super Sentai. And I gotta tell you, ever since these came out, I thought these had the worst bootleg vibe of all time. Yeah, so we got photoshopping off of existing art assets, nothing new, but just this whole branding just has the bootleg vibe to it. It's got the Japanese logo, but it's putting Super Sentai in bold font. At least it says Gosei Sentai Dairanger down the spine. It just has that bootleg vibe. And also the quality of their cases could break a lot easily. And earlier sets like this, they at least put different art on the discs. Some later sets got more bootleggy somehow, in particular because they started just using the same art on all the discs. And then on top of that, Abba Ranger's a weird case where there's very few shots of all 5 together. But this is just a screenshot, so it makes it look like Abare Killer is the lead when Abba Red is the lead character. And then also, yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. That actually looks kind of cool. The worst one by far is Tokuso Sentai Deca Ranger, because this is an image from Power Rangers SPD. And I say that because it is the American versions of the suits without the holstered weapons. So it's distinctively an image from Power Rangers SPD, and it's specifically the image they used on the Power Rangers SPD cover. Not anything new specific to Deca Rangers. Same with this image. That's also from the SPD DVD covers. And there's like only 2 screenshots from actual Deca Ranger on the inside, and one of them is like a mid, slightly blurred action shot where you can barely see Umiko. And the other screenshots here just seem like they're very random. This just doesn't have the right vibe of a release that cost $60 for a DVD in the 2020s. It just has the bootleg vibe. The worst one of them all is, though, Kamen Rider Geats. This looks like a bootleg. They have a poster where they couldn't get a version without the Japanese text on it, which just kind of makes it look like haphazard block text logo. You know, they have the actual Japanese logo here, but they just have a block text logo, and they got the Japanese lettering down the spine there. It's just the poster with a little bit, and then like the screenshots don't make any sense, and they put the final form on the discs when that doesn't debut till late in, and this had a $100 list price. This is, whatever we call this, I just call it a bootleg vibe. It's not to say that they are bootlegs. These are official releases, and the quality is inconsistent, pretty good, but like, you know, it just doesn't have that official feel to it. Our final curse of the day, the curse of the franchise expectation. See, the Naruto Blu-ray sets have this beautiful, unique artwork being done by Studio Pero for the North American Blu-ray release. All the sets look beautiful with nice, consistent spine art. But when you get to the movies, you feel a little let down, especially when the first Shippuden movie set looks like this. It's just a PNG of Naruto with the backdrop of the posters for the movies. The next movie set would just be the posters for the movies, but that's a little bit step up from bootleg vibe. But more importantly, they did unique artwork for the Naruto 3 movie collection for the original series, and why does he look like that? Why does any of this look like this? This was unique packaging art created for the release in an art style that nowhere near matches what Naruto looks like, and gives all the characters very odd expressions, as well as not quite understanding what happens in the first movie. Also, not representing the second and third movies, but I think everybody's favorite movie, the originals, was the first 3. Like, this isn't part of this battle scene. None of this is actually happening. I don't know what Kakashi's doing here. Don't know what Sasuke's planning to do, because, like, he's over here. I don't know why Naruto's carrying 2 kunai. I don't know why Sakura's throwing, like, a bunch of them right at this dude's stuff. Just, you know, on a technical level, it ain't bad, but, like, from a representing the Naruto movie that it's supposed to represent, I don't really understand what's going on here. This is franchise expectation, because the Pero art on the other sets is beautiful. This is also misinformed graphics, and this is also very confusing. I don't know what went on here. And then we have Sonic the Hedgehog. The first Sonic Steelbook looked great. It had, you know, it was just a render of Sonic we had seen, and a render of Jim Carrey's Robotnik, but it worked, it was serviceable. The second movie made more money and had more budget to it, so it got this fancy cover that looks like the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 video game cover, which is really, really cool and has a nice dramatic flash to the back of it. The Steelbook for the Knuckles series featured a render we hadn't seen before with Knuckles and his fiery fists, as well as a really cool shot of him and his throne. And then the Steelbook for Sonic 3 looked like this. Yes, that is the same Sonic running render that has been around on pretty much every piece of merchandise for the movie. Now, luckily, there was an option. You could also get the Shadow Steelbook, which is just the render from the movie that we've seen on a bunch of posters in a red background. And the same thing with the Eggman. And then on the inside, there is at least a little bit of new art, but it's mostly collaged. The thing with this one that makes it so cursed is not so much the Shadow Steelbook. That gives a new vibe to it. It is the fact that we went from movie 2 having, like, you know, let's recreate a game art cover with the assets from the movie, to movie 3 where it's like, do you want Shadow or Sonic? And the Sonic render is going to be the one we've been using since 2020. Why? Why can't we get something better for arguably the best movie of the trilogy? I guess that's the curse of franchise expectation. And And now we've come to the viewer submission portion of the video. Here are the horrifying tales from the Discord server. Some Blue Pony who just exist mentions the Thomas and the Magic Railroad Blu-ray cover, saying, not a 4K cover, this one honestly irks me due to the updated logo. The overall art is fine, being a mix of the original poster at the top and promo shoot at the bottom. But that logo, it's like they tried to emulate both the original movie's logo and the modern Thomas and Friends TV series and logo branding, so it's so off to me. That's also a case of bad Photoshop, because why does it look like, Peter Fonda, Mara Wilson, and Alec Baldwin are dead ghosts floating over the trains? Kyle mentions the Batman cover, saying, not really bad per se, but I've always disliked this Last of Us 2-esque cover for the Batman, especially in comparison to how good the Steelbook cover art is. Yes, I like the Steelbook cover art a lot. That's why I bought this edition of this movie. It's gorgeous. It's got the dramatic rain and the question mark. That being said, we'll give it credit that there is, somehow I just now noticed there's a Riddler question mark in Batman's eye, and that's neat. I do think that is neat. That kind of elevates the cover, but it is very bland and generic, and a lot of the other DC covers, like for Joker, were like that. Just like a super zoomed in shot of your main character. Kyle also wanted to throw in Gremlins, which, what is going on there? Like, it's just Gizmo sitting on the logo. That's all you got for Gremlins? And The Matrix, where the white rabbit icon is there. Yeah, The Matrix had a series of 4Ks that had covers that was just like white rabbit, spoon. I don't get it. It's The Matrix. Like, the symbology of it that I understand from watching it and analyzing it and being a cyberpunk nerd and stuff. But, like, I think the general public doesn't want to buy a cover with white rabbit or spoon. I think they want to see, like, Neo and Trinity kicking ass. Just a thought. Mark mentions Spider-Man No Way Home is kind of basic. I think by the time the film hits home video, you can hit them with the "We Got the Spider-Mans" marketing. Yeah, this is a really odd one as well, because it's just Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, which is, like 20% of the movie. Sly Rocker also wanted to throw in, not a fan of the regular 4K cover for No Way Home. Yeah, that one's also weird. It's just Spider-Man in an infinite portal situation, and you can't even really see the web line he's supposed to be holding on to, and that pose just looks weird. Also, Sly Rocker wanted to mention Godzilla -1 because they definitely could have used a better poster for the 4K. I totally agree. I called this out when I did my -1 video. It just looks painfully generic. It's neat, but also, like, it's hard to read some of the text because you have white text on top of this very chaotic background. Wade just posted a picture of the Boogie Nights 4K cover, and I've never seen Boogie Nights, but everything I know about Boogie Nights isn't in that cover. That just looks like someone's Polaroid. And then Spin Dash mentioned the cursed Sony multi-movie sets. I think I'll just leave those up for you guys to determine for yourself. Honestly, the 3-movie collection one isn't terrible. It's just poster art. Why is Into the Spider-Verse bundled with Homecoming and Far From Home, though? That doesn't make any sense. Also, PS5 4K movie essentials, because it's not like that console has games. And the Spider-Man 8 movie collection DVD is just the No Way Home Spider-Man logo. Yeah, kind of weird how Sony is good sometimes with their covers and bad, because, like, there's those, but then, like, their Venom Trilogy steelbooks are, like, these horrifically beautiful art pieces. I guess that's really just the curse of the 4K and the Blu-ray and the DVD cover art. So that was the 9 curses of the bad Blu-ray cover art. There are probably much more examples in our midst. There are more I may not even be aware of. I tried to save you all this Halloween, but I still had to share the horrors of some of these cover choices. And I hope you did enjoy this look back. Let me know in the comments which ones I missed. Let me know if there's ones that should have been here. And let me know if you want to see more videos by hitting subscribe and the notification bell. For the grind never stops, not even on Halloween. Hit the like button while you're down there, please. And come join the Discord server, because there are opportunities to submit things that will appear in videos like we did with this one. More in the future on that idea. I think it's kind of fun to pull the community and see what they see. Also, as you so wish, you can get early access to videos by joining as a channel member and get perks like special shoutouts. Let's give some special spooky shoutouts to our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including Captain Tears, Spin-54, Masterman95, Forever1000, Super Shaddix Boom, Mr. Smelly Tomato, Veloquence, Thiago Ribeiro, Jacobu Shiraz, Ghostly, Dr. Carver, Mr. Arrowverse 16, Parzival Joker, Sherez, Philippe Ceruno, Renato, and Gabriel Saez. Also, special shout out to Lightning63 for joining at Commander tier. Thank you everybody for the support of this channel, members and viewers alike. If you so wish, I'm on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. Plus, you can find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for entertainment, interviews, reviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, Happy Halloween and beware the curse of the bad Blu-ray covers!